Hello everybody and welcome back to another Legends of Tomorrow episode review. This is for episode 6, Star City 2046. That's right, the team is stranded in 2046. Before I get into the review, as always guys, I give you guys a broad non-spoiler, and then after that I go into some spoilers towards the end. I run through the episode a bit more and talk about the episode in detail and what I liked and didn't like about it. Although I don't find too many things I don't like with Legends of Tomorrow. So I will mention I missed the first 10-15 minutes. I wasn't able to jump on the TV as fast as I thought. Things were running a bit late today, so I missed the first 10-15 minutes. So if I missed anything major, I apologize. I do know that they did a rundown at the very beginning of the episode of them getting trapped because of Kronos in 2046. And it's Star City and it's destroyed. We don't know what happened. And we don't know why, but apparently Ollie isn't Green Arrow anymore because he's dead. And then we get into this episode where this other guy, Connor Hawke, is Green Arrow, and it's Diggle's son, and Star City's destroyed, and we find out later why and what happened to Ollie, and Ollie's missing. These are things that you guys already know, that Ollie, you know, he is alive, he's missing an arm, he gave up being Green Arrow, he lost the city, everything was basically destroyed. And what I found really funny was there was a love triangle that happened in this episode, but a love triangle that I don't think will go anywhere for a while at least. And it's because of the person that's part of the love triangle, and I'll get into that when we talk about spoilers. But they need a component for Wave Rider in order to leave 2046. They're able to fix it, but they need a specific component, which Ollie has. So that's why we find out about Ollie and why they go back out into the world, and they actually they get the device, but then Sarah gets a little too connected to a possible future. As Rip tries to explain to her, this is a possibility. When I drop you guys back off in 2016, you can prevent all this from happening. But she doesn't want to live with that. She's like, this universe is still going to exist at some point. I want to help because things happen along the way. And he gets mad at her. They get into a big argument. She's like, aren't you doing all this to save your family? And he's like, it's more than that. I want to save the world, yada, yada. Yeah, she doesn't believe him for 1 second. Well, she does, but she knows that there's an ulterior motive, which is his family. So she leaves the ship, and she goes to deal with the issue that they're dealing with 2046. And, of course, as always, Rip figures out he was wrong, and he sends the team after her. There's also a real heated argument between Captain Cold and Heatwave in this episode. And that was wow, and you start to see that their friendship might be deteriorating. And with the teaser for the next episode or the next couple of episodes, whoa, things look like they're gonna go crazy before they resolve themselves. And I'm looking forward to it. I am. And this episode kind of ended. There was no setup for the next episode. Like, it didn't end with okay, next time we're gonna take up where this episode left off. It ends with them leaving 2046. That's not really a major spoiler as the series is continuing on. And they're back to their focus on Vandal Savage. So, I really enjoyed the episode. I liked the action. And I gotta say, I've never watched Arrow before, but it was nice. It was nice that the focal point was Green Arrow. I'm sure they'll do one with the Flash, maybe. I'm not too sure. But this was a good what if or possible future for Green Arrow. It was nice seeing Green Arrow. I liked what happened with Ollie in this episode, and I like how Connor Hawke is like the new Green Arrow because obviously Ollie's a lot older, so Connor Hawke took over for him when they believed he was dead, and also to memorialize his father, the Green Arrow. We do get to see. Well, I don't want that's too spoilery. So that was my broad. Before I go into spoilers, that was my broad. I would definitely recommend it. Great action, great story. It was a nice way to end 2046 and move on to the next thing, which, as Rip says, we're going to attack Vandal Savage in a time before you could see it coming. So I'm guessing either they're going even further back in time, or we're going into the 90s. I don't know. He didn't specify a year this time. And it didn't look like they specified a year in the teaser, so I don't know where they're going. I guess we'll find out in episode 7. This is a great episode. I would definitely recommend it. So that was all the non-spoiler stuff. Now, as I said, I'm going into spoilers now. So if you didn't see the episode yet and you don't want spoilers, I'd advise pausing the video, putting it in your watch later pile, and come back after you watch the episode because you don't want spoilers. You want to enjoy the episode for what it is. Or maybe you're like me and spoilers don't bother you and you just want me to shut up and keep going. So I'm going to shut up and keep going. So like I told you guys, I missed the first 15 minutes. Obviously, they did a recap of what happened in the last episode with them getting trapped in 2046 because of Kronos. And they are now in 2046 and we find out that Ollie's dead. And there's a new Green Arrow and we find out that Slade Wilson, who is dead, had a son, Grant Wilson. And he's the one that's running Star City now, and that's why Star City is in ruins, basically. And Connor Hawke is the one kind of defending the people, trying to stop Grant Wilson. It's crazy. And Captain Cold and Heatwave. Heatwave gets a lore about it. You know, he sees the world burning. This is what he wants. His life goal is to see the world burn, and the world is destroyed, or at least Star City is destroyed. And he becomes the leader of this gang because he shows off, you know, with his muscle. And Captain Cold kind of follows along, and he just sits on the sidelines. He's like, we really should be dealing with, you know, our team and everything. And Heatwave, basically, he wants to stay in 2046 in the hell that is left, which Captain Cold's like, you can't stay here. We have a mission. We have other things to do. And it takes Heatwave a while to come around to Captain Cold's, what he's saying to him. We find out that Wave Rider can be fixed, but they need a component, which Sarah knows that Queen Industries might have. So she goes to the old Green Arrow lair. And guess what? Ollie's not dead. He's alive. He's armless. His left arm is gone, but he's alive. And he's basically given up on being Green Arrow and being a hero. Because basically he's lost everything. And he tells them where to find the components. Says never come back. They leave. Connor is super pissed that he finds out that Ollie's alive, but his father and everybody else is dead, and Ollie didn't even try to avenge them. They go find the component. Unfortunately, Grant Wilson's thugs find them, and they end up taking Connor as a prisoner, and Captain Cold and Heatwave. See, what happened is Grant Wilson, I keep wanting to say Grant Morrison because his name is Grant. Grant Wilson shows up where Heatwave and his gang are, and apparently Grant Wilson owns the city, and whatever he says goes, so he tells everybody to go find Green Arrow and his two cohorts, which are Sarah and Rip, and bring them to him dead or alive. And Captain Cold kind of has to, they have an argument, because Heatwave wants to stay, Captain Cold says we got to go help our friends, so they almost come to blows with each other. He's like, listen, let's go save our friends, and then we'll deal with this. We'll have this argument after. And he agrees, and they go. And they show up to save Rip and Sarah, and in the end, Captain Cold ends up knocking out Heatwave and drags him back to the ship because he knows that Mick doesn't belong there, and he doesn't want Mick to stay there. And it leads into a future argument with them later where Heatwave actually tells him, listen, you ever knock me out again or you ever touch me again, you're going to burn with the rest of the world. In other words, that's where their friendship is starting to dissolve. And Captain Cold's trying to convince him that, you know, sometimes I have to do things, you know, I have to force you to do things or put you in positions like what happened in this episode because I'm the brains. And I'm like, you don't say that to the muscle. You never say I'm the brains and you're just the muscle. That tends to lead to a mutiny later, but that's beside the point. Where Captain Cold kind of went, you know, anti-hero in the DC universe, Heatwave never did. I mean, he did during Forever Evil, he sacrificed himself, but that's a different story, and that's a different Heatwave, because different universes, comic and TV. So, they get the component, but Sarah doesn't want to leave. Oh, and the love triangle that's going on the ship, which is kind of like, I guess, the comedic relief, is Ray and Jax have an interest in, oh god, not, her name is Shiera, but she goes by Kendra. So, Jax feels a little bit of chemistry, and then Professor Stein, to try to ward off, to try to, you know, was talking to Ray, and Ray started to realize, hey, maybe I have feelings for Kendra. And he kind of asks her out, like, he says, when this is all over, I know a cabin, would you like to go there? And she's like, you know, I've been through a lot. I just lost the person, you know, finding out I'm a hawk goddess, priestess thing. I I don't think this is a good idea. So they kind of both got sidelined. While just Ray got sidelined. I like how Jax was listening in, and they both have like a funny conversation with if they both knew that each other wanted to go out with her. So they Ray goes to him, you know, if this was gonna happen, she would go out with me, right? And Jack's like, you sure? Mm-hmm. So Sarah and Rip get into that argument I mentioned, and she leaves the ship. She wants to help Star City and save Connor before they leave. And Rip at first gives her an ultimatum: be back in an hour or we're leaving without you. In the end, kind of after Professor Stein, who is apparently the voice of reason in almost every episode, almost, because there were a few episodes where he wasn't reason, he makes Rip realize he's wrong, and we have to go help Sarah. So Sarah goes to Ollie first, snaps him out of it, says, the city needs you, you can't back down, this is not you, this is not what you're like. So obviously Ollie comes back, they save Connor, epic fight happens, Rip and the team show up to help save the day as well, and Grant, I almost said it again, Grant Wilson gets taken down, and now it's up to the Green Arrows to rebuild Star City, and our team flies off back on their mission to take out Vandal Savage. Basically the end. Give or take a little bit of dialogue. I really liked, I love this episode. I like how, they developed 2046, how it was a doom world. Now there's hope for the future, and Grant Wilson no longer has a fist in Star City. So things are looking up, even though they were looking down for a very long time. Hopefully, I don't know if we'll ever see this in the regular Green Arrow series. I won't, because I don't watch Green Arrow, I watch Flash. But it'll be interesting after Legends of Tomorrow if Sarah goes back to the Green Arrow series and she mentions about Grant Wilson, and at some point next season, or maybe even at the end of this season, we see Slade Wilson's son as the new Deathstroke. That would be interesting. And it'd be interesting because she knows what happens in the future to Star City. It'll be interesting to see if her and Adam, because Adam will go back to Flash, to Green Arrow as well. It'll be interesting knowing that they're there. How obviously it'll go differently, but it'll be interesting to see how them knowing what happened in the What If 2046. It'll be interesting to see if they interact Legends of Tomorrow into Green Arrow like that. It'll be interesting. It is sad because I like Adam and I like Sarah. I think if Adam and Sarah had a bigger role in Green Arrow's next season, I might be more involved with Green Arrow because I like their characters. But again, I think that their characters are more sideline characters. Obviously, Green Arrow's got to be the main character in this story, which makes sense. And it's not a team series as well. So Legends of Tomorrow is where they shine. And I really like that, and I appreciate that, and I really like Legends of Tomorrow. This is a really great series. 6 episodes in, I almost said issues, and I believe 5 or 6 more to go. I think it's either 11 or 12 in the series. I'm really enjoying it. Maybe I'm wrong and it's 8 also. I have no clue. I never research how many episodes are in a season. I just wait for them to say the finale is next week, and then I'm like, okay, next week's the finale. So however many episodes are left, I'm really enjoying Legends of Tomorrow. If you guys aren't checking it out, you really should. It's a really great series. I'm sure the first 5 episodes are on Hulu, and this episode should be up on Hulu by Tuesday night. So I would definitely recommend giving it a try. And with that, that's my review for Legends of Tomorrow. As always, links in the description below. Feel free to let me know what you guys thought of Legends of Tomorrow Episode 6 in the comments below. And until next time, everybody, take care, keep reading, keep collecting, and I'll see you guys really soon in the next video.